welcome.
Hello, everybody.
The relieving ding.
Ding. Yeah.
That was the first time that ding thing on the live stream on YouTube has come up for weeks.
Yeah.
It always comes up.
And it always worries us, doesn't it? Because we always have this horrible feeling that we'll be chatting for about an hour and 20 minutes and nobody will hear us and it'll be lost forever.
And that would be sad.
Yeah.
But luckily, we've got all of you guys, our great listeners, to listen to us chatting away about what, sir?
Well, Doctor Who Time and Space,
yes.
Effectively.
Starring me, Lewis Beam.
And me, D. Cool. So what do we have on this week's show?
We are going to be looking at 2 periods of Doctor Who in in Doctor Through the Decades today. We're going to be looking back at the wilderness years in the 1990s.
That shouldn't take too long.
Yes. But then after that, we're going to go more in depth into a discussion in the Doctor Through the Decades to the 2000s, which are all of Russell T Davies' period.
Okay. Then after that, we'll also, or maybe before that, I'm not sure which order we're doing it in, but we'll also be giving our thoughts and reviews of the Tom Baker classic, Ark in Space.
We've got a review, a series, part 1 of our series 9 special of Quiz or Question.
We will be pressing the magic randomizer button.
And we've got some news. That's on episode 144 of the podcast.
Okay, well, let's kick off straight away with the news then, if you reckon we've got some.
We have got some. It's just, well, let's just talk, because last week we got big news that Peter Capaldi was leaving. Stephen Moffat was leaving, and Chris Chibnall was taking over.
Yeah. God, my poor little heart started beating fast then.
Yeah.
What? Oh no, not Capaldi. God, no! Please don't let that ever happen.
But there have been rumours.
Okay.
For this.
Well, should we kick off with that rumour first of all?
Yes. So there's rumours that Capaldi could be leaving Doctor Who after Series 10.
My poor heart is beating. Oh no!
This is a mirror rumour, and mirror rumours are always just rubbish. And there are some rubbish things. Talk a little bit about what you said to me the other day after the.
Do you want to do your talking first?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So, BBC bosses expect Peter Capaldi to leave Doctor Who after the next series, when writer Stephen Moffat also steps down. The 57-year-old's tenure as the 12th Doctor is likely to end in 2017. When new chief Chris Chibnall, who created Broadchurch, begins a new era in Series 11, it is thought that he will get to choose his own Time Lord. A source on the BBC show said bosses are already discussing a fresh start when Stephen leaves. They've been happy with what Peter has brought to the role, but some think it might make sense to give Chris his own choice of actor to play the Doctor. They hope he will be able to find someone who can have the same impact as Matt Smith did when Stephen Moffat kicked off his run as executive producer. The move would mirror what happened with Russell T Davies, who brought the sci-fi series back in 2005 after 26 years, departed at the same time David Tennant left as the 10th Doctor. A BBC spokesman said Capaldi was signed up for the 2017 series, but beyond that said, we don't discuss contracts.
Okay, there's a couple of points I wanted to add.
Yes.
The first one being that they made the mention there that they wanted him to have the same impact as when Matt Smith broke onto the scene.
Yeah.
Now, my recollections are, and I might be wrong here, but I actually thought there was a lot of people that didn't warm to Matt Smith.
Well, I don't know, because I wasn't a Whovian back then.
Yeah, but from what I've read, I thought a lot of people, because of the impact that David Tennant had, were not sold on him. So I'm not sure where that comment's coming from. the other point is more just generally about the mirror, in that actually, I think there's probably a lot of truth in this story. And
Yeah.
it wouldn't surprise me if Capaldi did live. And
It wouldn't be surprising. No, it would be. It would be a wise move, and it has happened before with Russell T Davies, and it would be,
for a number of reasons, really. Firstly, because we know how onerous the role is. It can take quite a lot of time and a lot of resource when you actually, it's quite sort of impact, I think, negatively on your health and things like that if you're constantly acting and filming. So I think that's one point. And the second point is just more generally, I guess you could see that somebody coming in fresh and as a new showrunner may potentially want somebody that they've chosen themselves.
We did say that Peter Capaldi might be leaving last week when we heard this about Stephen Moffat. And, well, all we're saying now is it's just a rumour, it's from the Mirror, but there are a lot of chances that Peter Capaldi could be leaving.
So I think probably the Mirror has probably got a point. I think there's probably some truth in the story. But I think the Mirror, they're quite anti-Doctor Who as a programme.
They are, yeah.
And therefore, I think they always approach it in a different way. So I think there's an element of truth in it.
They did ruin the Davros thing, didn't they? But they did that. At least they got that right. Remember a few months ago when they said there was a Doctor Who movie in the plans?
Yeah.
That hasn't been mentioned again.
No, indeed. And maybe who knows? But I don't know. I think the Mirror tends to have its things it likes and things it doesn't like, as does its
and Doctor Who is one of its things which it doesn't like.
Yeah, I think probably because they see it as a bit of a sort of institution in many respects. It's a real sort of hallmark of BBC.
Yeah.
I think that's probably part of it. So we shall see. I personally, I've sort of got two minds of it because, as you know, Capaldi's probably my second favourite Doctor.
I do know that, yeah.
To Tom Baker,
and he ties with Matt Smith in my favourite.
I don't know. I think the only thing I would say is part of me would love him to stay for longer.
Yeah.
Part of me would love to see what he would be like with a different showrunner because they'd probably come at it from a completely different angle.
I think, because we've never seen Chris Chibnall write for Peter Capaldi's Doctor. And if Peter Capaldi is leaving after Series 10, then we need a Chris Chibnall story in Series 10 so we can see what he'd be like in a Chibnall story. I mean, Chibnall has enough time to write another story because Broadchurch is on this year. I don't know if it is on this year. I think it's on this year. I know there is another series on some point.
Yeah.
Don't know whether it's this year, but I think it is. So he would have time to write one episode.
Okay. Well, we'll wait and see what happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, what's your thoughts on it? Do you think this will happen? Do you think we will only have one more season of this?
I don't want Peter Capaldi to leave, like I said last week on the show, but I do think, like with Stephen Moffat's start, we need a fresh start, a completely fresh start. Maybe not a new companion necessarily, but a new Doctor, and then we'd have a new showrunner and maybe a new companion. Lots of new things. Yeah, but the first story.
But the only sort of downside of that is obviously, I mean, Dara's gone, so we're gonna.
Clara.
Do you know how many times we've done that? Clara's gone. We're gonna have a new companion for 1 year.
Yeah.
Does that mean therefore that we will literally have a companion just for 1 year and then we'll get a complete fresh start, or will we get like you used to have in the old days where the companions perhaps more used to cross over, didn't they? with the new Doctors.
There were a few times when that happened in
Yeah.
Classic Who.
Yeah.
And a few times once in New Who as well. Oh, wait, there's twice in New Who, actually.
Is it? Trying to think.
Ninth, Rose and Clara.
Oh yeah, that's true actually. Yeah, yeah, it has, isn't it?
Only one hasn't.
But the other sort of side of it though is that what used to happen in Classic Who, and we talked about this a little bit on Behind the Sofa the other week, is that you'd often have companions turn up for one episode before the new Doctor.
Yeah.
Which always seems odd to me. But
that is the most bizarre layout ever.
Yeah. So,
very bizarre.
Is that enough from that particular section of news?
I think it is enough. So, talking on the subject of Peter Capaldi, this isn't the actual piece of news, but Peter Capaldi's got a beard.
Got a beard?
He's got a beard.
Presumably
Look,
not for... Oh, he has got a beard.
Beard.
He's presumably not got that for Doctor Who. What's he filming at the moment then? Do we know?
I don't know. Look, more importantly, will the Doctor get to keep the beard?
Okay, here's a question for you. How many times in the history of Who have we seen the Doctor have a beard?
We saw it with Matt Smith.
That's the only one I can remember. It's the only one I can think of.
Yeah.
So, I was just trying to work out whether Time Lords could grow beards. They obviously can. I guess the Master always had a beard, didn't he?
The Master did, apart from Missy and John Sim.
That's true.
And the Deranged Master.
Yeah.
And Eric Roberts.
It's a handful of them.
And the child.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So
carry on with your news. I interrupted you with beard talk.
A bearded Peter Capaldi has today been speaking to the Doctor Who fan site Radio Times at their swanky cover party and talked a little about what's ahead. On preparing for Series 10, you have to be fit to do Doctor Who, and so I've just been getting myself ready, and I'll be getting into training to start the show. When we start, it'll run for 9 months, and the most important thing is to be there and to be fit and be on top of everything. I'm looking forward to starting. There wasn't really anything else around that I particularly wanted to do until Doctor Who filming begins. I'm really looking forward to it. We've got great writers and some fabulous, exciting stories.
That's interesting then. Peter obviously knows some of the stories that are planned already.
Yeah.
There's something else I wanted to go into in a minute. I don't know whether you want me to do it now or it sort of links a little bit with the last story we had. And we were listening to one of the other podcasts this morning.
Yeah.
It was called
Blue Box?
Yeah.
Podcast?
And they were talking a little bit about how the original idea had been for Moffat to leave at the end of the series. It's just gone. And that what we've got is pretty much a tag on. Do you think that's right? Do you think that was ever his intention?
I don't know. I couldn't see. Was Husbands of River Song meant to be his last, or how bad?
I think Husbands of River Song, yeah.
That would have been a strange one to end it on, but I suppose it would be, if you get my meaning.
I think full stop a Christmas one's odd, isn't it?
Yeah.
I still don't really like I like Christmas stories. I don't really like them being the final. I didn't really like Time of the Doctor being a Christmas episode.
No, there was too much going on. It was a great one, but I wish it didn't have the regeneration.
Yeah, I'd rather have seen that in a separate story.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I should shut up now. You can carry on.
We've just had some brief talks about it. This is about the companion, by the way.
Okay.
We've just had some brief talks about it. We haven't actually chosen someone yet, that I know of. Perhaps someone has been chosen, but I would expect that I would meet them before we finalised all that, so we're looking for someone different. On Chris Chibnall taking over, no mention of the leaving rumours. I think Chris is a wonderful writer, so that's the exciting thing about Doctor Who. I don't really know what he's going to do with it. It's going to be different, and he'll take it in a direction that is his, and that will be very exciting. That's the lovely thing about Doctor Who. It keeps changing. Stephen's been fabulous, but it will be very exciting to see what Chris does.
I think that's right, isn't it? And to certainly, when we've done our various discussions on the show about different tenures,
yeah,
particularly when we've done the ones around showrunners, each of them has had quite a distinct, different feel, haven't they?
Yeah.
So it will go off in another direction. I think
it will.
And that's healthy. I think. I think it's healthy to have that continual change.
Like an apple.
Like an apple.
So you can see a video extract of the interview where Peter talks about Jenna Coleman in the show notes, which are on the website misslewismoon.weebly.com, and on the section under More, Doctor Who Time and Space, episode 144, The Dark in Space.
Excellent.
So
Good.
I'm going to move on to a different news site so I can look at some really little news.
Little
wait,
news.
no. Is it still linked into the keyboard?
No.
But it won't.
We've got weird things happening.
No, it's alright.
Yeah. Okay. So these are the two probably the biggest bits of news.
The biggest bits of news. But I do you like it? Earlier on, before the show, I told you a little bit about what things we've got lined up for the news.
Yeah.
Did you like that?
I did.
So, German news update. There have been new developments for Doctor Who fans in Germany recently. German free-to-air digital channel Eins Festival, part of the IRD group of channels, will start broadcasting Doctor Who on 29th of February. The channel will begin with Season 5, airing 2 episodes each day from Monday to Wednesday, with 1 additional episode on Thursday. The broadcast time will be 8:15 p.m, which is the standard prime time for German channels. Season 6 and 7 will air Wednesdays in March. The last time Doctor Who aired on a free-to-air channel was in 2008 when commercial channel Pro 7 aired Season 1 and 2 on Sunday afternoons, but then cancelled the show because of poor ratings. The show later found its home on the paid-for channel Fox Germany, which currently airs Series 9. For detailed listings of Germany's and other international broadcasts, visit the This Week in Doctor Who section in the show notes.
I think
Doctor News.
What is quite noticeable is that, particularly these days, the show has become very popular abroad, isn't it? I mean, I remember we looked at the Rotten Tomatoes article last week, didn't we? Where it was talking about best series on any channel, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and
it was.
Actually, it came top, didn't it?
It did.
It came top, and that was beating.
It was above Game of Thrones and everything.
Beat Game of Thrones and beat Daredevil, which are fantastic. So there we have it.
So after the success of the first German unofficial Doctor Who convention, Timelash, last October, the organisers announced that there will be a second event on the 15th to the 16th of October 2016, once again in Kassel, Germany. Tickets went on sale early January in the Timelash homepage. You're doing something very weird there.
No, this is weird. I just found something very weird in my wine glass.
Oh, okay. So guests announced so far are Sophie Aldred, Fraser Hines, who's going to be at Bournemouth Film and Comic Con, which we're going to, comedian Toby Haddock, new series producer Phil Collinson, writers Robert Sherman, Gareth Roberts and Peter Harness. More guests from the classic and new series are to be announced in the coming weeks. Today, the Timelash YouTube channel put up a trailer for Timelash 2 featuring clips in the first event.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, the last article today, Peter Capaldi visits refugee camps in Jordan. So Peter Capaldi has made his first journey with the UN Refugee Agency to witness some of the frontline work the charity is doing in the Middle East. The UNHCR, a United Nations agency mandated to protect and support refugees, is currently helping some of the 630,000 Syrian refugees living in Jordan. The charity took the actor to meet some of the people displaced by the conflict in Syria and to see some of the work being done to support them. The UNHCR told Doctor News, which is the site I'm getting this from, how delighted they were to have the support of the 12th Doctor. We're thrilled to have Peter support our work and to have his interest in learning more about the situation facing families across the world who have been forced to flee their homes because of war and conflict. We'd love you to take this journey with Peter and with us over the coming weeks and beyond. So you can see a video of that in the show notes.
I bet they'd rather it was actually Doctor Who going there, wouldn't they? Because he could actually solve all the problems, probably.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have troubles again. So is that all of the news, is it?
That is all of the news.
Okay. So what does that take us to next?
Doctor Through the Decades.
Doctor Through the Decades. Okay, you better give a little bit of a recap as to what this is.
So we are going to look through each of the eras of Doctor Who. 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, 1990s to 2000s, and 2010s.
Yes.
Yes.
Pretty good. And this week we are on?
1990s to 2000s.
Good. Okay.
Should I give a roundup?
Yeah, give a bit of a roundup then.
So previously, Doctor Who had ended with Survival Part 3. In the 1990s, called the Wilderness Years, there were loads of little short bits, like lots of things. It's Scream of the Shulker, Curse of Fatal Death, lots of things. The most notable of these things was the Doctor Who TV movie in 1996, where the Doctor was played by Paul McGann, and he was joined by companion Grace Holloway, played by Daphne Ashbrook, and he had to face the Master, Eric Roberts. So what? Before I go into the 2000s, we're just going to have a quick chat on what we think about the 1990s.
Okay.
What there was.
I think even though it was a one-off in terms of the movie, and we then had another big gap before we saw the Renaissance with Russell T Davies, Hound. What you did see was a distinct change in the style of the Doctor, in that Paul McGann was the first Doctor that had any form of romantic interest with his companion.
And that was very strange.
Yeah,
having a romantic interest.
And I think it was probably, and this is no offence to our friends over the seas, but I think it was because it had a lot of American backing.
Yeah.
And therefore, there was a sort of, it feels more like an American sort of show.
It does,
I think at that stage. And I think they kept some of that a little bit when the show came back. Paul McGann himself, I think, is good. I think
he's still not as good as he was in the recent story Night of the Doctor when he came back.
Yeah.
But it's a shame that we didn't get to see Paul McGann in his own series.
It is.
But it's sort of for the best, probably, because Doctor Who may not have come back.
No.
We may be sitting here reviewing season 7 instead.
Or nothing.
Or nothing, yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine if we're a few years back. Hello, we're here today to review the most recent episode, Town Called Mercy.
Could be, it's weird, isn't it? I think the other weird thing about it is that with that movie, and I don't know whether it was for budgetary reasons or what, but they had the opportunity to really make it an exciting moment of science fiction. And it seemed quite odd that they kept it very human insofar as the villain was the Master.
And the Master himself wasn't very good.
No,
I didn't like
really.
the Master on that. He didn't feel mastery like Roger Delgado and Anthony Ainley were.
No, it didn't seem mad enough, did he?
No.
But it surprises me that they didn't choose to have something like the Daleks in it, really. Something which was far more recognisably Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Or the Sidemen, you know. I know the Master's obviously a renowned villain, but
he's the third most popular Doctor Who villain monster.
He might be, but do you know something that occurs to me about the Master, and you'll probably disprove me like you normally do.
Yeah.
How many times does the Doctor meet the Master in isolation? Because
what do you mean?
In most cases I can think of, the Master, and I know it's not all the cases, but most cases, is supplementary to another villain. So, for instance, it's the Master and the Sea Devils, the Master and
I suppose you're
the
right
Cybermen.
I can't disown you there.
Even when you take some of the ones that haven't got classic monsters in it, not sort of ones that are in a one-off one. You know, you take something like the Diamonds or something like that.
Yeah.
And again, there's still always another focal monster. So
I suppose
that sort of takes away from the very humanoid sort of thing of the Autons. You know, the list is endless, isn't it? So it surprises me they didn't do that. They could have had the Master in it, but it surprises me that they didn't go for something which would have got the attention of kids more, with something like a sort of a Dalek or a Cyberman or another monster, a new monster.
Something that they could have done to get all sorts of ranges of people involved.
Yeah.
To get them interested to make Doctor Who again.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my thoughts on it. I've not seen the other ones that you mentioned. Things like what's it called, the
Scream of the Shadow. That was in the 2000s, early 2000s.
Was it? Okay.
Very early 2000s.
I guess the other thing that I hadn't really appreciated too until we were talking about it the other day in terms of the birthday for it was that the Big Finish stuff had been running through this period of time as well, did it not?
I think it was late 1990s that Big Finish started.
Right, okay.
It was 15 years, it's over 15 years old now.
Okay, so, you know, that sort of kept some of it alive a bit as well, didn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think it started in 1999 or 8.
I think what is quite clear, and it's something we've talked about before on this show, whilst you look back on it now and you think that's a long time for Who to be missing. But at the same point, it probably did need that break.
It did.
It needed time to refresh and to gain a new audience.
And that's why there's a break at the moment.
But I think it needed it more so then, because I think its popularity had really waned, didn't it?
And the 80s wasn't the best period. No. Definitely not. The worst, probably.
And I don't think that's anything to do with Sylvester McCoy or Colin Baker, who I think actually...
Or Peter Davidson.
Yeah, I think it were all good doctors in their own right. I think it's just that era, that, you know, the John Nathan Turner era. Is it John Nathan Turner?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I mean, every bit of the 1980s was executive produced by John Nathan.
Yeah, and I think he obviously had his idea of what he saw as being good about Doctor Who, but it probably took it in a different direction, didn't it? It brought a sort of childlike quality to it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. To me, I know. Essentially,
you can see our review of that last week in episode 143, named "Period of Death."
So I think it needed to have that sort of break to refresh, revitalise, and to come back with a new look. Do you think it's too? And again, apologies, friends across the sea, but do you think it's too American? Just because one of the
TV
things,
movie.
Yeah, just because it's one of the things, you know, Doctor Who is very British, isn't it?
It is. It is very Americanized. And Doctor Who needs, no offense to the guys overseas, But I think Doctor Who does need to be British by the British.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. So, have we talked enough about the wilderness years?
Yes, let's talk about the 2000s.
Okay.
So in 2003, it was announced that Doctor Who would come back. In 2005, which would be starring Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor, Billie Piper as the companion, Rose, Jackie Tyler as Rose's mum, and Mickey, Rose's girlfriend. And Rose's boyfriend.
Rose's boyfriend. I didn't realise you said that to start.
Girlfriend.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? And this started in New Adventure Rose, written by head writer and executive producer Russell T Davies. He made the show a success again. And the most popular story of Christopher Eccleston's run was probably Dalek. Empty Child probably, actually.
Yeah.
Which both of them gained success. The first proper Christmas special aired in 2005 on Christmas Day, when the 10th Doctor, played by David Tennant, was introduced. In Parting of the Ways, the previous story, the 9th Doctor, played by Christopher Eccleston, left the show. Rose was still in it as the companion, but she soon left in Doomsday, and she was taken over by Martha, played by Freema Agyeman, in what's it called? Smith and Jones. This series reintroduced the Master to the show, as season 2 introduced the Cybermen again, and season 1 introduced the Daleks again. Martha left after a short run in Last of the Time Lords, with Donna, who was last seen in Runaway Bride, in Runaway Bride, comes as the companion, played by Catherine Tate. 10th Doctor's run and Russell T Davies' run came to an end in the year 2010 with End of Time.
Okay.
New Year.
Can I ask you a question,
Yes.
actually, to start with, before we talk about it in any great detail? The last season of David Tennant's...
The specials or season 4?
No, the specials. Why did we not have a series that year? Why was it we had specials, do you know?
Not really.
No. I wonder if it was a very similar sort of thing. I guess sometimes it might well have been that they had other things on, whether it's David Tennant had other things on, or Russell T Davies had other things on. Yeah. Anyway, so basic thoughts on the return.
I mean, if it didn't come back, if Russell T Davies didn't say that Doctor Who would come back, then we wouldn't be sitting here right now and talking about the podcast. It has introduced hundreds of fans, thousands, millions of fans to the show.
Yeah, and I also think, although sometimes it might seem like I'm a little bit critical of Russell T Davies's era, that's only because at times I feel there's a slight cheesiness to it.
And there is.
There is, but also we've got to remember as well that there's some of the best episodes we've ever seen in Company's Period.
Link, Empty Child,
Family of Blood.
Family of Blood.
So, we could no doubt reel up a whole load.
Midnight.
Yeah. So there's some really, really good stuff. I think it needed to come back. When it returned, it came back straight away with a big bang, didn't it? With a classic villain, the Autons.
Yes.
And I think that was quite important.
It was.
I think it did exactly what I was saying about the movie, how probably the movie should have done.
Yeah. And I think you said about that before. I had a bit of deja vu. Well, saying that, I always have deja vu.
Yeah, and I often repeat myself, so it could have been that. But I think it did come back with in the way that the movie should have probably done it. The other interesting thing about it is, and this goes contrary to the point I made earlier, it was quite clever how they refrained from bringing the Daleks back straight away, in that the Daleks didn't turn up until halfway through the season.
Yeah.
Which gave this sort of like anticipation, I think. So
I think that was quite effective.
Yeah. So I think all in all, I think it was good coming back with a sort of family feel to it.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it then took a bit of a turn and got a bit darker and darker, because it's more the sort of thing I prefer. But
It's sort of lost a lot of fans.
Essentially, probably Russell T Davies's period is what the show's all about, really.
Yeah. I think it's a defining era.
Yeah.
A. Not the A.
Yeah.
Defining era. So, should we bang on with the questions?
Yes, bang on with the questions.
So, best Doctor in the period.
I know we obviously can't really comment on that in the wilderness years, can we?
No. We could count Paul McGann.
Yeah.
Should we count Paul McGann or just do Christopher Eccleston?
Well, no, let's count Paul McGann, just to give us a bit more people to discuss. Personally, it's difficult, because my instinct is to say Paul McGann, because I think he has the potential to be one of the best Doctors, judging on really what we saw of him in that very short
Night of the Doctor.
Yeah, Night of the Doctor. But you can't really say him just because he didn't really have long enough. But I'm gonna say him. I probably in order. Mine would be Paul McGann, Christopher Eccleston, and David Tennant, because I'm just not. I like David Tennant as an actor, but I don't really like his portrayal of the Doctor that much. Even though he's in some great episodes.
I'm not judging now on Night of the Doctor. I'm judging on the TV movie. So I'm going to say David Tennant, Paul McGann, Christopher Eccleston.
Yeah. I remember when Doctor Who came back on, and I can remember watching it in the background, and I didn't bother watching it properly. And I think it was because I didn't feel that Christopher Eccleston felt like a Doctor, because he was so different from what we'd seen historically.
I thought you were going to say something stupid then.
Did you? What's new? I might do, yeah. I might lead on to something stupid. But he didn't. He seemed just very different than what we had previously. And although all of the early Doctors were quite different from each other, they all had a sort of alien feel about them. And I don't feel that either Christopher Eccleston or David Tennant were as alien as what we think the Doctor should be. I think Matt Smith was a bit more alien.
I do feel David Tennant at some point is alien, but he has all the human emotions, though.
Yes, I think he feels a bit more alien as his tenure comes to an end. I think when he gets like the specials and everything, because he becomes a little bit more distant, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But that's probably the problem I have with that era, is that however popular those Doctors may be, they still don't necessarily feel like proper Doctors.
Okay.
I think Matt Smith was quite an ingenious recruitment in many respects, because he kept the youth and excitement of what had been there in the Russell T Davies years, but added a little bit of zany alien.
Yeah.
They're probably a little bit too similar back to back.
Yeah.
But I think they needed something like that, and it then led its way to the very alien Capaldi, who's far more
very alien,
very much more like the Tom Bakers, John Pertwee, Patrick Troughton's of years gone by.
So I think the best episodes, there are a lot of episodes, but I think we're going to have to go with Blink on this one.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. For me, Human Nature, Family of Blood and Blink are tossed up high because Family of Blood and Human Nature were my favourite first Doctor Who episodes.
Yeah.
It's not just because of that, it's just because they're great episodes.
Can you remember who wrote them?
Paul Cornell,
Okay.
who wrote Father's Day.
Okay. Which are actually
Another great
two really, really good
episode.
ones. So the point I was just about to make was that actually, even if you look at Russell T Davies's era, the majority of my favourite stories from that period are Stephen Moffat stories. Because what have you got? What have you got there? You've got Blink, you've got the Mummy one.
Empty Child.
Yeah. You've got the one with the robots on the ship.
Girl in the Fireplace. And Silence in the Library.
Although I've not seen Silence in the
Library.
Library. But so, you know, they've immediately got a bit more of a darker feel to it, haven't they?
So, best monster.
Best monster. Trying to think of something new that they brought in.
Weeping Angels?
Yeah, you're probably right. Actually, I always seem to think of Weeping Angels more of a sort of a Stephen Moffat era, but that's because he created them, didn't he? Probably, yeah. They're only in the one story, aren't they?
Yeah.
In Musty Davis' era.
Yeah.
But it's probably the best one. Yeah, probably.
So,
I mean, what other new monsters did we get? We got the Slitheen.
Bastronada.
Yeah. Yeah, probably the Weeping Angels.
So, companion.
My favourite would be Martha.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know people absolutely love Donna and absolutely love Rose.
Yeah.
And nobody cares about Martha. But I really love Martha. Not love in a love way, but I mean, like.
I don't know,
as a companion.
Funny. Yeah. I like her because she's it's funny actually, in many respects she's a little bit more like the companions of old. And I know we've talked about this before, but there was nothing magical or special about Martha.
No, and she's like she's like the only one without a magical special thing.
Yeah. And that's quite good sometimes because that's what companions used to be
like. Rose, the bad wolf thing. Donna, the Dr. Donna. Amy, the girl who waited. Yeah. And Clara, the impossible girl.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's right.
Yeah. So, best thing about this period?
That it came back?
Yeah, I think so. The revival.
Yeah, I think so.
Worst thing?
Worst thing, cheesiness.
Foppishness.
And Donna.
Donna.
Yeah, I can't help it. I mean, I know she's in episodes I really like. Having said that, I mean, if you think about it, probably my favourite episode from the Donna period is probably Midnight, and she's not in that very much. So, I don't know. I know people really liked her, and I can understand. People tend to like the fact that it's like two buddies flying around space. Like, I can fully appreciate that.
And people relate to Donna.
Yeah.
Remember those Doctor Who fan show question things? And
a lot of people.
They always said on the question, which companion do you most relate to? They always said Donna.
It's weird though, because if I was
even the gay guy.
If I was the Doctor and I was travelling around the TARDIS and Donna was there, I'd probably have pushed her out of the door, or left her somewhere. And quickly, Donna, look over there. Oh, what? And when she's looking around, I'd quickly have run back into the TARDIS and left her there in the Viking era or something. What do you think is the best and worst moments? You said the revival, didn't you? For the best.
Revival is the best. Worst, foppishness. Foppishness.
Yeah.
And for 1990s, no Doctor Who.
Yeah, I think so.
So, should we move on?
We should do, because time
to our review of Ark in Space.
Okay, so Ark in Space was selected randomly by using the magic randomizer,
Randomizer.
which you probably don't need to explain really now.
We
do
don't,
We've
because
done
I
enough.
think we've used that a lot.
We
We've
have
used it quite a lot, and we're going to press it in a few minutes to see what episode we will be reviewing next week or over the next couple of weeks.
So last week it selected the Tom Baker era, the first series of Tom Baker.
Yes.
Yeah? The Ark in Space. Very rough, brief storyline. It follows the whole concept of Noah's Ark, really, doesn't it?
It does.
In that you've got the end of mankind coming, and therefore this character who gets named Noah, for that very reason, takes a set of effectively sort of frozen humans up into space, whilst the Earth is basically cured of all of its problems, and then they plan to take them back and basically start
and revive
life again.
The human race.
Yeah. So there's a very small number of perfect humans that have been selected, isn't it? When the Doctor, Sarah Jane, and Harry arrive by accident, because Harry's been so excited about his first trip in the TARDIS that he presses some random button and it transports him to a different place than they intended to go. They get to this Ark in Space, it's the title, and they find that basically all the power and everything's all been cut off.
Yes.
And the reason being, I won't, without going into too much detail, is there's these parasites
called the Wirren.
That are trying to eat away at the humans, aren't they? Feeding on them, making themselves more powerful and take the Earth eventually. So that's probably enough of a roundup.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you make of it?
Ark in Space is a classic. I mean, last week we reviewed Robots of Death. This episode isn't quite as good as it, but it gets near it. It's still a very, very, very strong story.
From a very strong series, isn't it? I mean, you can probably remember. Can you run through off the top of your head the episodes that we've got in this series?
Robot, Ark in Space, Sontaran Experiment, Genesis of the Daleks, Revenge of the Cybermen.
Okay, that's you don't get better than that, do you?
Yeah, great run.
I mean, what is noticeable is we did have a bit of a chuckle at some of the special effects, didn't we? Which is very easy to do when you're looking back at these things with everything that we've got now. But you've got like the guy when he's first been taken over by the Wirren, yeah, and he's obviously got
bubble wrap
around his hand,
green bubble wrap.
Yeah, which is quite funny. And I just don't know about you. I wanted to pop it.
I know. I've popped all of yours.
I know you have, yeah. Yeah, it's got no pop left in it, I
don't think so. Wait.
So, yeah, there's no pop left in that.
No pop. No pop.
So, yeah, it's a really good story, isn't it? The first couple of parts are fairly slow, and I think you made the point that it's a fairly unique story insofar as it's pretty much all based
on the Nerva.
Yeah, in sort of one or two rooms in a spacecraft, isn't it? So there's a lot around.
It's very limited.
Yeah, so a lot around the dialogue between the various characters.
It's a very slow story.
I mean, the first episode, you pointed out, only actually had the Doctor, Sarah, and Harry in it, didn't it?
It did have a couple of voices, but in actual cast, only them.
So we've talked enough over the podcast over the years about Sarah Jane.
We have.
Harry, though, we've not really had too much of a chat about him.
We haven't, no.
What do you think of Harry as a companion? I mean, obviously this is only his second appearance.
I think he's a very well-spoken chap.
He is, isn't he? Yeah.
I wouldn't mind to be married to him. He's quite, what do you call?
He's a gentleman.
He's a gentleman, yeah.
Yeah, I think I quite like Harry. I think he's a good fun companion. He's very much a stereotype. You know how we were watching The Simpsons earlier on, and they did this joke, didn't they, about Apu being a stereotypical Indian, and then they had the stereotypical Italian. Can't remember his name.
Luigi.
Luigi, yeah, it was a stereotypical name. And then the Luigi's wife comes out with his mum. Was it? I can't remember.
Mum, I think.
His mum came out and starts hitting him with a wooden spoon, and it was just. And it's a little bit like that with Harry, isn't he? He's a stereotypical, well-spoken gentleman.
Yeah.
But I quite like him. I like him as a companion.
I do. Yeah. He's quite an interesting, different fella.
Mm. How many series was he? Just in the one?
One and the Terror of the Zygons. He appeared in 2 from the following series.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, how do you think it ranks in that series?
I think it may come second in the series behind Genesis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe. I can't remember all of them. So.
Robot, Ark in Space,
Uh-huh.
Revenge of the... No, Subterran Experiment, Genesis of the Daleks, Revenge of the Cybermen.
Revenge of the Cyberman, I remember from when I was little, but I don't remember anything about it. And that's the one I really hope comes up on the randomizer again, because I loved it.
We don't have any way of watching it.
Do we not? No, that's a shame. In that case, it'd be sad if it did turn up on the randomizer. Cause, alas.
We might have a way, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we could try.
We could try.
We can see what we can do. So, any other comments to make on this episode? I'd definitely recommend it to people, wouldn't you?
I would, yeah.
Yeah. I like the way that you've called this episode
Dark in Space.
Dark in Space, because obviously we're reviewing the Ark in Space and we're also talking about the Wilderness Years.
Years.
That's clever. I like what you did there. It's good.
Yeah. Scores or?
Yeah, just have one other final point. It's another solid Tom Baker. Tom Baker's just great, isn't he? The sort of facial expressions and things that he pulls. There's always this sort of
This is his second story.
and there's this great sort of there's this sort of madness about him, isn't there? But it's half insanity and half enthusiasm.
Yeah.
He's certainly very different than the first 3 Doctors that we had.
He is very.
And made it his own role very, very early on, didn't he?
Yeah.
So yeah, scores.
Monsters.
Okay. Concept, really good. I'd say probably about 9. Look, they're quite funny, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's just they've dated so much. They're probably they have really dated very, 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 very badly.
It'd be like
it'd be like a 6 if you took it like that. But I don't think you can.
Overall.
You just got to remember when it was made and everything, and on the basis of everything else going around it, I'll probably give it about an 8.
Okay. Character development.
I don't. Like we said before, you don't really get too much character development in Classic Who.
No.
So it's 6.
Wait. Yeah. Pace.
It was slower. Certainly, the first 2 were slower, but I don't think that was a bad thing because it was the pace. Depends what we're judging now. Are we talking about pace in terms of how exciting it is, or we're looking at it more whether it feels like the right pace?
Right pace.
In that case, I'd give it about an 8.
Okay. And excitement.
Oh, excitement, yes. I would give it about a 7. I think excitement.
Okay, this is like the really low score.
Is it?
Like.
But if you were to ask me though, at the
Yeah,
end,
it's like 29.
if you ask me to score the story, I would give it really high.
Out of 40, what would you give it overall?
Overall, probably about 35.
Yeah, but those scores added up in 29.
Yeah, but that's because they don't necessarily fully capture everything about what you like in the story.
No, they don't. Maybe we should change the score.
Yeah, I quite like this.
Yeah, I quite
them.
like them.
I mean, my overall thoughts are that it was a really good episode.
Yes.
I think the only downside
really,
to elements is just it's dated.
Yeah. Okay. So, is that the end of our review?
It is. Yeah.
Let's press the magic randomizer button.
Okay, so we always try and guess whether we're going to get a new Who or an old Who one, and we both reckon. Well, I reckon we're going to get a new Who. What do you think?
Wait, let's press this.
Okay.
No!
This is going to be interesting because
No.
what has been selected is what a lot of people reckon to be
One of
the worst ever.
So we've got
episodes.
one of the best episodes ever, then you've got one of the worst episodes ever.
So, to let people out of the misery, what is the episode?
Fear Her.
Yeah. If you take the Dawn review, it's in the bottom 5, isn't it?
It's second to last.
Second from last. So we're going to watch the second from last worst episode of all time.
After watching this 22nd best one.
Yeah. So, well, I'm interested to see whether it's as bad as people say.
It is quite bad.
Okay. So Fear Her is David Tennant era?
Yes.
Second series David Tennant, which is generally considered to be a bit weaker.
I think it's the worst series that we've had in modern Who.
Okay. So, okay. So, sorry. Was it? Wait, let me get this right. It was David Tennant's first year. His first season, but the second season of New Who.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Well, we shall look forward to that.
Yes, we will.
So Fear Her.
We will be
I'm fearing.
back to review that this time next week.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
So there we are, folks. One to look forward to, or not.
Or not. So it's time for quiz or question. Series 9 special, part 1.
Everybody's favourite quiz, the sung theme tune. So, what is the point? There's a question. What happens?
Well, there's a quiz, which has a right or wrong answer, and a question which could go into a debate.
Okay.
Or opinion on something.
Far away then. What do we have this week?
So it's it's part 1 of our Series 9 special.
Yeah.
And in 2 weeks' time we will have part 2.
Okay.
So who are the best for each of these categories? Monster, best villain, best female cast, and best male cast.
Okay.
Quiz or question.
It's no right or wrong answer, so it's a question.
Question.
Best monster Zygons?
I think so, yeah.
One of the best monsters of all time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't think of anything better.
There was the Vel, but it's not as good.
Best villain, I would suggest Davros.
Yeah, Davros.
I know
Missy's
really
quite
good,
close, but she wasn't really a villain in the series.
Yeah.
So Davros. Best female cast?
I think I might go for Jenna Coleman. Am I allowed to? Or is she too central?
No, she's the main cast.
Okay, well, next I won't. Maybe I would go for Missy then.
I'm going to go for Maisie Williams.
Yeah, okay.
Best male cast?
Best male cast. Ooh.
I did do one the other day.
Who were we thinking? It's quite difficult actually, isn't it? Because actually, for the criticisms that are thrown at Moffat about him being a very male-orientated program, actually the vast majority of characters in this series were female, weren't they?
No, they weren't.
What?
I looked it up on Doctor TV.
Yeah.
It's got loads of people for male and 10 people for women.
Let me rephrase that slightly then. Not necessarily a number, but in terms of importance of characters.
Yeah, I suppose cast and everything.
So I think a lot of the strongest characters in this one were best. I've got mine. I've got the name of the character now, but the guy that was of Paul Kay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I've got his character's name now.
I did come up with another one, but I completely forgot it.
So I'm going to say Paul Kay's.
Oh, I said Reece Shearsmith.
Okay. Yeah, that was a good one.
So name the members of the drum crew. Quiz or question?
That must be a quiz.
Quiz.
I don't even know what the drum crew.
From Under the Lake Before the Flood.
Oh, that's what they were called, is it? Okay. No.
Okay.
I can't.
I'll name them then.
Yeah.
Moran, Cass, Lunn, O'Donnell, Bennett, Pritchard, I think that's it.
Mhm.
There is Prentice, but he's not a crew member. So
Okay.
no. Okay, what was your favourite type of Dalek on Skaro in the opener? Quiz or question?
That's a question because there's no right one answer. I like the really, really old ones.
My favourites are the special weapons Daleks.
I don't know what they're called. What are the first ones called?
The original Daleks.
Yeah, I'm going to give one of them. An original Dalek.
So, where was Before the Flood set? Quiz or question?
Quiz, because there's a right or wrong answer. I think, from memory, it was based in Scotland.
It was, yes.
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 Okay.
How many times did Ashildr appear? Quiz or question?
Quiz or question. Do we by that, do we mean how many stories?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, episode.
So what would we
Quiz or
have?
question?
Oh, sorry. So there's a right or wrong answer, I'd imagine.
Yes.
So she was in
Quiz.
The Girl Who Died.
Yes.
The Woman Who Lived.
Yes. Which I watched again last night.
Face the Raven.
Yes.
And then Hal Ben.
Yes.
4. Yeah?
Yes, 4. What was Maisie Williams' best performance in Series 9? Quiz or question?
It's a question because there's no
Question.
right or wrong answer. Personally, I would suggest The Woman Who Lived.
Me too.
I think in many ways the character became stronger in the last 2 episodes,
I do too.
but I think from an actress perspective, she was really, really good in The Woman Who Lived. I think the way she played off Peter Capaldi and the dialogue between the two of them was really strong. So yeah, I'm going to go for that one.
Final quiz or question. What was the standout moment for Peter Capaldi in this season? Quiz or question?
Oh, it's a question. There's no right or wrong answer. There's a number, isn't there?
Yes.
He really came into his own this season. I think probably. I think there's 2 for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's 2 for me as well.
Do you want to say what yours are and I'll tell you if any different?
The Zygon inversion speech.
Mm-hmm.
The anti-war speech, yeah. And Heaven Sent.
Yeah, they are the same 2, I was going to say. Just the way they actually managed to pull off one episode with just him in.
Yeah.
And it was probably the best episode of the whole series. I know you don't quite agree with that, but I think the general opinion.
I do. I think
most people felt that was the strongest episode.
Yeah. And I can't say that. I can't say this is a rubbish episode. It's not the best episode. It shouldn't be. I really enjoyed Heaven Sent.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's lower because there were so many great ones.
Yeah. Okay.
So is that the end?
That's the end of the podcast.
So next week on episode 145 of the podcast, we go into February with the final part of Doctor Through the Decades on the 2010s.
Okay. We'll also be, no doubt, bursting with fun and joy as we discuss Fear Her.
Not. We will be having some more news and views.
And we will do a legendary Who face.
And we will be pressing the magic randomizer button.
So thank you very much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you again later. We hope to possibly record another Behind the Sofa later this evening.
Yes, and that might be out next week.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening to the show today. We will see you this time next week at 4 p.m. on Saturday the 6th of February.
Yes. Thank you very much.
So, goodbye!